Hi, my name is Kelly Frantz-Langford, and this is my case study. We'll begin with a look at the facts. Miguel Hernandez was paralyzed during a high school football game. He has returned to school ambulating with the wheelchair. The school is not entirely ADA accessible, and therefore he was removed from a biology class and added to another science course, which does not meet his college entrance requirements. The people involved include Miguel, of course. He is requiring an equitable education, and in order to do that for him, he needs biology. His parents, who want him to succeed, they have retained a lawyer representing Miguel. Miss Gussman, who made the switch to the other science class due to the biology room not being accessible. The principal, who needs to support both the students and the staff. The superintendent will need to be notified because there are liability issues, as well as the Board of Education, and then of course the community at large if we're going to value inclusion. There are definitely both legal and ethical implications. The legal implications include the school has rooms that are not ADA compliant, which has resulted in a student being unable to access a biology class. There's a Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 issue requiring school to provide accommodations to a student with a disability. Instead of providing accommodations, he was removed from the biology class and assigned to another class. IDEA is not relevant at this point as the situation does not pass the two-pronged test. Miguel is identified as having an exceptionality due to being paralyzed from the accident, but at this time it's not anticipated that he will need specialized instruction to participate in general education. And then there are most likely liability issues around the sporting event. Ethical concerns include that the school should always advocate for equitable access to the building and the curriculum for the well-being of all students and staff. Changing a student's schedule because of a disability is not an inclusive culture. The principal and the district should be committed to a resourcing plan that includes universal access, and the future success of this particular student requires access to college-bound classes. To synthesize the issue, Miguel Hernandez does not have equal access to the curriculum because the biology room is not accessible for a person using a wheelchair. The people include Miguel, other students, teachers and support staff, the building administration, district personnel, the Board of Education, and the supportive community. The town has one high school in the community, so it's most likely a rural community. The high school was built in the 1950s, and although the building has some upgrades, a quarter of the building has not been updated to become ADA compliant. As far as the program, it's a public high school with courses for both college-bound and high school diploma. Biology is a class that is required for the College of Miguel's choice. We do have some missing information that I would need to consider if I were going to make the decision. My first question would be, what is needed to make the biology classroom accessible? What are the current financial resources of the school and the district? Does the school have insurance to cover the injury? Did the parents request a 504 plan prior to the return of the student? It said there were 2 weeks notice. I'm not clear on whether the school or Ms. Gussman initiated a 504 plan with the parents. It doesn't appear that happened considering the biology issue. And then also legal consultation. First, surrounding the injury that occurred at the high school, but also because the parents did bring their lawyer, and we would definitely want to discuss the issue with the district's legal counsel so that they are fully aware and can advise us of next steps. I would say there is definite harm to stakeholders, as Miguel may not be able to attend the college of his choice without biology. The teachers and students are harmed by not including and not accommodating everyone. Although Miguel appears to be one of the first students that need access, at any point, another student or staff member or parent could need access to the building. And so in the long term, it harms everyone for the one high school in town to not be ADA accessible. The district and or the school could be liable for discrimination if Miguel is placed into a science class and not giving access to his curriculum, and community support may decline as information gets out into the community that Miguel was not allowed to participate in the class of his choice due to his disability. So in looking at the options, one option would be to make no changes to the placement recommendation. This would support Ms. Gussman's decision to move science classes, and there would not be an immediate financial cost. However, that is discrimination, violating both ADA and Section 504. There most likely would be a lawsuit, as the parents already have a lawyer involved, and most importantly, it would ruin Miguel's opportunity for college. Another option would be to seek an accessible high school in the area with biology, with a biology class that Miguel could access, and then pay for transportation and other costs. The pros would be Miguel would have access to biology. It might be the cheapest financial option, possibly, not knowing the costs associated with it. I can't say that definitely. The cons would be this is definitely a violation of inclusion. The school would not be inclusive, most likely upsetting multiple stakeholders, including Miguel, who would be removed from all of his friends, his parents, who I'm sure would be furious, and other community members that would recognize that this is the wrong thing to do. I'm guessing there would be a liability issue, and then this would certainly not be the least restrictive environment for Miguel. Option 3 would be to seek funds for upgrading the classroom. The pros are that it's the best long-term solution. It's a decision that supports inclusion, and it's the decision that supports accessibility. The cons, of course, are the financial cost and the time it would take to upgrade the classroom. The last option would be to move biology to an accessible part of the building and adjust the curriculum to the new room. So the pros include giving Miguel access to the class. It meets ADA and Section 504, practices the values of inclusion. The cons may mean a change in curriculum, increasing burden to staff, and may cause resentment from students and staff. My decision would be to go with option 4, moving biology to an accessible part of the building and adjust the curriculum to the new room. The reason being that it allows immediate access of the biology course, meeting ADA and Section 504, and it gives time for funding and construction of the remainder of the building. To implement the plan, the short-term objectives would include discussing the most recent parent meeting with the superintendent and legal counsel from the district to update them to make sure that my plan is acceptable, and certainly to seek any guidance that they would have. I would also meet with the science team to determine what is needed in a biology room, evaluate accessible classrooms in the building, and determine what adaptations are needed. I would immediately also adapt the biology curriculum to meet the needs of Miguel so that he can begin or continue with the biology class as the rooms are being adjusted. And then convening a 504 meeting with Miguel's parents, communicated to them with written notice and providing their procedural safeguards to discuss the proposal. and then cultivate a leadership team to consider other inclusion issues. The long-term plan would be to advocate for funding to update the remaining quarter of the school. Although we have a short-term issue, a school that's not accessible presents a long-term problem. I would do this by engaging stakeholders and studying the school's practices around inclusion and study the mechanisms for funding the remaining accessibility projects. I would also review our 504 procedures. In the case study, it said that there was about 2 weeks notice, which isn't a lot of notice, but at that point, a team should have been convened. Notice should have been given to the parents, a plan should have been held, so that all of these things were outlined, and during those 2 weeks, making all of the accommodations necessary so that Miguel could come back and feel included from the moment he stepped in the school. These are the references that I used to help inform my case study. Thank you so much.